Welcome to our channel, where we talk all things true crime. This video is for educational purposes based on public knowledge. We do give our opinions at the end, but please do your own research. We mean no disrespect for any mispronunciation of names or places. Let's get started. Today we are going to talk about the lesser-known tragic case of Robert Whitwell, a sweet, hard-working 81-year-old man from Australia that was betrayed by his granddaughter, Brittney Dwyer, in 2016 in an attempt for her to live out her depraved obsession with horror movies and rob him of his life savings.
Brittney Jade Dwyer was born June 30th, 1997 in New Zealand. As a child, she was happy and bubbly, but it's reported that she lost that happy demeanor when she began being bullied and had no friends. Brittney would eventually make a friend named Shelby Holmes. Brittney's mom was hopeful that the friendship would bring happiness back to her daughter. However, Shelby would be a bad influence, and Brittney began using illicit substances and became obsessed with horror movies. Once 18, Brittney moved out and became roommates with Shelby.
Brittney also made a fast friend on Facebook named Bernadette Burns. They quickly bonded over their love of the macabre, both being obsessed with the television show American Horror Story. Being on her own, Brittney became increasingly stressed about adulting and paying bills. Of course, not having a job would probably play a part in the stress. Everyone knows you have to have a job to pay for things. But instead, Brittney would begin using more heavily and drinking. She hatched a plan that would allow her to continue her lifestyle without getting a job.
Robert Whitwell was a proud and giving family man that went above and beyond for anyone in need. He was married to a lovely woman named Joyce that he called his queen, but she was currently living in a care home suffering from dementia. Robert didn't trust banks and kept his life savings of over $100,000 in his home and on his property. Brittney was aware of this.
Brittney had convinced her roommate Shelby to scope out Robert's house in April of 2016, only a month after he had turned 81. Robert actually saw Shelby and gave her a kind smile. Shelby would text Brittney that she had met her papa and said, "OMG, he is lovely." Brittney texted back callously, "Don't get too attached, he may have to die."
In May of the same year, while Robert was out, the girls attempted to rob him. They used a milk crate, climbed over the fence, and tried to get into the shed where he had hidden his money. But they were scared away due to the motion lights, a barking dog, and a neighbor. Brittney would lay low for several months before attempting to rob him again.
Fast forward to August 2016. Brittney and Bernadette would drive over 1,200 miles from Queensland to Adelaide with the intent to do whatever it takes to obtain the money. When the girls arrived, Bernadette stayed in the car doing her makeup, and Brittney went inside. Her papa was surprised but happy to see her. He started showing her pictures from when Brittney was a child. This must have softened her heart some because she texted Bernadette that she couldn't do it. Bernadette responded that they didn't drive that far for nothing and to harden up and just do it.
After only spending a short time with her papa, Brittney told him that she had to go. As Papa walked Brittney to the door to say goodbye, Brittney pulled out a knife and stabbed him repeatedly in the neck and chest. Shocked, Robert asked why, before staggering to the kitchen to bandage his wound. Helping him apply a Band-Aid, Brittney then washed the dishes while her Papa Robert sat in a chair and died. She and Bernadette then searched for the cash, only able to find money in his wallet. They left with $1,000.
Once newspapers started piling up at Robert's residence, suspicions grew that something could be wrong. His body was found with stab wounds and his back door open. The family and community were heartbroken. For 21 days, Brittney played the role of a grieving granddaughter.
Bernadette actually had a guilty conscience and told her roommates what happened. Crime Stoppers would get a tip to look at Brittney and Bernadette. They both would confess once questioned. Brittney tried to allege that her papa had violated her as a child, but there was no proof of this and was seen as an attempt by her to make an excuse for what she did. The court dismissed this allegation. Brittney would say she had BPD and was using illicit substance and drinking at the time. She'd even said she had thought about acting out scenes from the horror movies she watched and was obsessed with the American Horror Story TV show.
Brittney Jade Dwyer was sentenced to life in prison in order to serve at least 21 years before she'll be eligible for parole. Shelby Lee Angie Holmes would be convicted of trespassing for her role in trying to break into the house in May of 2016, and she was given 17 months, suspended for 3 years. Bernadette Burns pled guilty to murder and was sentenced with a non-parole period of 13 and a half years. Because Bernadette is a New Zealand native, she will face extradition back to New Zealand once she serves her sentence. So what do we think? I think it's heartbreaking that she would do that to her papa. And obviously she had second thoughts about it, but I mean, not enough to not do it. He welcomes her into the house and is going through photo albums of when she was a kid and like reminiscing about good times. And she's like, well, I gotta go.
Mm-hmm. What's weird is like, she didn't ask to borrow money. Like, she didn't try to get a loan first or borrow money, which, again, doesn't have a job and is an addict.
And I believe she was only 19 at the time, which is what her lawyers were trying to argue, that she was so young to give her leniency. Luckily, they didn't. But, like, maybe asking for a loan didn't cross her mind, but at the same time...
But you were going to rob him.
You were going to rob him. Why wouldn't you just ask for it? And it seems like he helped people a lot. Like,
yeah,
he liked helping people.
I think she didn't want to have the stress of, like, worrying about paying it back or having to come up with excuses on why she doesn't have it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, the first time when the two girls went and they were digging around trying to find the money, I would have probably just, like, called it off. Right then, it would have dawned on me, like, this is a really bad idea and this is illegal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I know them.
Yeah, which I would, yeah, I mean, I would have never been there in the first place, but I get what you're saying. This isn't going to work out.
And then they drove that far. And then the girl was like, we didn't drive this far for nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, the thing is, though, why didn't she just, like, knock him out then and, like, take the money?
I guess because then, once he woke up,
yeah,
he would have known that it was her. And I think also, because I was, like, reading a lot of articles, basically the reason she decided to go ahead and go through with it's because if she didn't, then he would have let her mom know that she had been by to see him. I don't know. I don't know if she was, like, estranged from her family at this point, because once she was 18, she moved out.
Yeah.
And was on, you know, doing illegal stuff and not working and making bad choices.
But even if he did tell her mom, like, what does that have to do with anything if she's not in contact with her?
I don't know.
Like, if they don't have her number or anything like that, why does that matter?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was just something that an article had said, you know. Obviously, if he's missing money, he would have known it was her once he woke up.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like...
Yeah, but I mean...
Then you'd only be charged with robbery, you know, and, like, he didn't deserve that.
I'm surprised they didn't, well, again, I guess their go-to was just kill him, but I'm like, why didn't the one, like, stage, like, a break-in and, like, knock him out with, like, a mask on or something?
Well, yeah, and see, once his body was found, like, everybody thought, like, an accident had happened, or it was a robbery gone bad, but they were like, nobody would have done this to him because nobody would kill him because he's such a sweet man, like, nobody would do this to him on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, it had to be something that went wrong, or... You know, they thought, I guess, maybe he would have done it himself. I don't know why they thought that. I don't know. I don't know.
Who really stabs himself in the chest and neck?
I don't know. Yeah, no, those are not, like, the usual places.
No.
But one thing I can't quite understand is, like, all the media was, like, reporting that this was, like, AHS inspired. But I don't really, just because she liked the show, I don't get, like, where it's tied in.
Well, maybe where she says she wanted to reenact scenes from movies and stuff, and she was obsessed with that show, and I'm like, there's a lot of people that are obsessed with movies and horror shows, but they don't do this.
No, it seems, no, it's just weird. But I don't, like... She never came out and said, oh, I saw this on season such and such episode, blah, 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 and that made me want to go do blah, blah, blah. Like, I just don't understand how they're tying it together just because she's a fan of the show. Probably so. I mean, yeah, she liked the show, but like you said, millions of people do, like...
And it wasn't like an actual, like, a reenactment of it.
No.
No, it just sounds like some very selfish girl that was addicted to substance and was looking for an easy cash cow, basically. And again, like, I get $100,000 is a lot of money at once, but that's going to run out fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Especially if they're blowing it. So, again, it's just stupid and selfish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was his whole life savings, too. But also, like, don't tell people you have money at your house.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's hard, though, because if it's your family, you don't think they're going to do crazy crap. So the mom could have mentioned it to her, like, when she still lived with her, like, you know, he don't trust the governments, he don't trust the banks.
He just keeps all his money at home.
It's buried out there. You know, because
Yeah.
we have relatives like that, where they'd make the jokes about keeping stuff under the mattress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It never once dawned on me to go try to find it.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe she just grew up knowing that he didn't
That's what
trust banks. Yeah.
Yeah, like the
And
mom
that-
was like, nah, your papa don't use banks.
Yeah. And so she just thought, oh, well, I'm going to help myself, which is absolutely horrific. Also, like, once she was actually arrested, her family was like, no, they're setting her up. Like, there's no way she could have done this.
Yeah.
She's been grieving, and, like, she was grieving, and, well, she was panic-stricken at the scene, but probably because she's afraid she's going to get found out that it's her. I mean, that's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
It's very interesting. It's almost like, do these people, I know dissociation is, I don't think it's as common as people try to make it out to be.
I agree.
But I'm wondering if it's almost like if somebody would have found out like their family member really was
Gone.
type thing by
Yeah.
someone else. It was like a weird like disassociation that you're the one that did it.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. And if she really was diagnosed with BPD, I think that some dissociation can occur with that.
Mm-hmm. Because I follow some people and he talks about like people just don't talk about it. It's like almost like you feel like you're living in a movie or a show and nothing seems real. So it's almost like, especially if she was on drugs, it was like,
Drug induced.
did I really do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which, again, we don't know her. We're
Nope.
just speculating,
Yeah.
trying to make sense of like what happened, why. And
But
how
again, it
this
seems like
could
a lot
happen.
of these murders that we've been covering comes down to money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So if I ever win any money, I will not tell anybody.
No.
Not even family.
Yeah, cut all
Again, it's
that.
weird that it's associated with that show American Horror Story. I've never watched it.
I love
know
that show. I've
You've
watched-
recommended it. It's interesting that it's tied to it so heavily.
Yeah. It's a very graphic show.
Yeah.
And there's certain scenes that I can't stomach. I feel like they kept up in the ante as they went
Yeah,
along
of
with
course,
like
they always have
grotesque
to,
and
yeah.
stuff, you know. Some of it I can't do. Yeah, I mean, there are hardcore fans and nobody that I'm
does
aware of.
It's weird that people always try to like make that leap. Like that made me do it. It's like,
Almost like just a way of not taking responsibility. Overall, just heartbreaking that Mr. Whitwell lost his life for nothing, and kind of shocked that, I mean, she can parole after 21 years.
yeah, I don't know their laws if that's like the max they can give.
Different countries, yeah. I mean, she got life, quote unquote, but can go up for parole after so many years.
It's also heartbreaking that you said that soon after Robert was murdered that his wife in the
Care home.
care home had passed away too.
Yeah, we were talking about that
Yeah.
earlier.
It's so sad.
It makes me think of like a soul connection, because like people have
Yeah.
been together for so long, and you know,
Yeah.
you always hear of older, you know, elderly people, when one passes on, typically the other one will pass on shortly after.
Yeah.
It just like made me think of that. And even though she was in the home, it's like his soul wasn't here anymore.
Yeah.
Like absolutely heartbreaking. What do y'all think? Have you heard of this case? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and turn on notifications for future videos. Until next time, stay safe.